Welcome to training on the Scholar Code of Conduct, important updates and information. This brief webinar will take less than 10 minutes to view, but will overview important information about the updated Scholar Code of Conduct that pertains to your role and responsibilities. Please watch the video presentation in its entirety and sign the acknowledgement form following this course. We know you have many other trainings to complete, and thank you for your attention to this important topic. In this webinar, our objectives are to introduce the new Scholar Code of Conduct, share Uplift's philosophy of student management and discipline, share information about Uplift's leveling system of scholar behaviors, provide an overview of the behavior management cycle specific to instructional staff and highlight your responsibilities, and provide a few sample intervention strategies. To be clear, this training is intended to provide a high-level overview of district policy and common procedures and should supplement any additional information and trainings provided by your campus leadership team. You should direct specific questions about student discipline at your school to your campus deans or directors. We are excited to introduce the revised Scholar Code of Conduct. Major revisions to this edition include a district-wide philosophy of discipline, connections to the International Baccalaureate program, a new leveling system of scholar misconduct, and an enhanced list of recommended interventions anchored in social-emotional learning and restorative practices. With these changes comes responsibilities from all staff to ensure that we hold all scholars to our expectations as outlined in the Code of Conduct. This is a district-wide, board-approved document and applies to all Uplift schools and personnel. That said, the Scholar Code of Conduct should complement any existing culture and student management systems that your particular school implements. Your campus leadership teams will share more about your specific school systems of student management and their expectations of daily operations in this area. In addition to your school's specific culture and systems, it's important to recognize that Uplift Education has a board-adopted philosophy of discipline. In short, that philosophy is that student discipline is intended to teach students to make positive behavior choices. All children, regardless of age, will make mistakes from time to time. The purpose of discipline is not to punish students for making those mistakes, but rather to encourage them to make better choices in the future and to learn from those missteps along the way. While serious safety violations of the Code of Conduct may result in more traditional forms of discipline, it is always our hope and preference to use thoughtful and restorative interventions when appropriate. There are 3 levels of student misconduct at Uplift Education. Level 1 violations are generally classroom level or more minor concerns. This includes misconduct such as a dress code violation, a tardy, or maybe a minor instance of insubordination, etc. Level 1 violations are primarily managed by classroom teachers or other instructional staff who are empowered to command their own classroom environments. These interventions are thus assigned by classroom teachers and also documented by those teachers in accordance with the systems of your particular schools as assigned by their school leadership teams. Level 2 violations are significant concerns that should be managed by school leadership teams. This includes misconduct such as bullying, fighting, gambling, just to name a few. Level 3 violations are the highest concern and are managed by school leadership teams, but may also involve other agencies such as law enforcement or input from senior district leadership. Level 3 violations includes misconduct such as prohibited weapons, the transmission of intimate visual material, the possession or distribution of drugs or alcohol, and so on, as you'll see on the next slide. It's important to note that all Level 2 and Level 3 violations should be immediately escalated to school leadership in accordance with their specific instructions on how to do so. For this webinar, we are going to focus on Level 1 violations, which are typically managed by classroom teachers or other instructional personnel. Level 1 violations include minor instances of cheating or copying work, destruction of classroom property, dress code violations, minor instances of insubordination, leaving the classroom without permission, minor classroom disruptions, minor inappropriate use of technology, minor physical or verbal aggressions, minor theft, profanity, vulgar language, or obscene gestures, tardies, or other Level 1 violations. Each of these behaviors is defined in the Scholar Code of Conduct. Please be sure to read this document and familiarize yourself with the definitions. It is also important to familiarize yourself with Level 2 and Level 3 violations of the code so that all staff know what to immediately escalate to their school leadership teams in accordance with the specific systems that you have in place at your school. You'll note that frequent minor violations is a Level 2 offense. This means that if you have a scholar that continues to commit Level 1 misconduct despite multiple interventions, it is appropriate to escalate that student to school leadership to intervene. Every incident and behavioral situation is a little different, and your school will have specific guidelines on when and how to escalate scholar misconduct to the school leadership team. However, in general, Uplift Education expects all classroom teachers and instructional personnel to attempt multiple interventions of Level 1 behaviors before escalating to deans and directors, as shown in the example above. To be clear, Level 2 and Level 3 concerns, which are serious and potentially dangerous situations, should be escalated immediately. There are many possible classroom-level interventions, and assigning the right one will of course depend on the specific situation you've encountered. Your school leadership team will share more about strategies to use at your specific school. However, we've included some common examples here. Always remember that if a scholar is receiving services through programs such as special education or Section 504, it is critical to be aware of any behavior-related plans that might already be in place for those scholars. As a classroom teacher, you are in command of your instructional environment and ultimately responsible for the safety and well-being of your scholars in your class. It's important to remember to document all scholar misconduct and consequences and interventions that you assign in accordance with the systems and procedures assigned by your supervisor and your school leadership team. It's also important to remember to regularly communicate with parents if and when you provide an intervention. This is not only best practice, but also a critical element in building positive and trusting relationships with the families that we serve. So, let's pretend that you encounter a more serious incident of scholar misconduct, say a Level 2 or Level 3 violation of the code. What do you do? Well, you will complete an escalated discipline referral form in accordance with the procedures established by your school leadership team. This form includes areas to document the violation you observed and the location, and should include a complete description of the incident. If you completed previous interventions with this scholar, those should also be listed. Importantly, remember to sign the document before submitting to your school leadership team. You will be provided copies of the escalated discipline referral form at the beginning of the year and can also find copies of these forms on the Uplift Education intranet website under the Student Support Services Program menu and also in any designated locations as assigned by your school leadership team. Finally, a link to the complete Scholar Code of Conduct is included in this training module. Your school leaders are experts on student management and scholar discipline and will provide additional details regarding your school-specific systems of student management, discipline, and culture. Remember, they're there to help support you and guide you through the complexities of this work, so don't be afraid to ask questions or for help at any time. Working together as a team, we best support our scholars and can ensure a safe and successful educational experience at Uplift Schools. I'm Dr. Tony Walker, Senior Director of Student Support Services, and I want to personally thank you for your attention to this important content. I hope you enjoy a great start of the new school year.